When I had first learned about this story right here, I said I definitely have to do a video talking about it. And I found out about it on the Zoe What Morning Show with Zoe Williams. If y'all look at 5150, he's one of the co-hosts with Corey Holcomb, Darlene Ortiz. You got Craig and Nate over there. That's the panel for that particular show. Every Tuesday evening is late, but I managed to catch the recording the next day. It's a very funny weekly show that they have on YouTube. And this topic came up about Sam Smith. So basically, what happened was Sam Smith, I guess he was vacationing with one of his friends who's also in the music industry. And the song Human Nature was playing in the background by Michael Jackson. You know, a very famous song by Michael Jackson. But anything Michael Jackson did turned to gold anyway. But Sam Smith was being recorded while the song was playing. He was probably singing the song or something like that. And then he made this comment. He said he doesn't like Michael Jackson, but he's a fan of the song. Well, like many people who are a fan of the King of Music, I just can't call him the King of Pop because he touched many genres of music. So that's just my opinion. And probably a popular opinion at that. Legendary icon Stephanie Mills got wind of it, and I actually found out something interesting yesterday listening to the Zoe What Morning Show. I didn't know that Stephanie Mills and Michael Jackson were in a relationship. I really didn't know that they had a relationship, back in the day. But it must have been one of those quiet relationships. You know, a lot of people, back then, the paparazzi wasn't really out and about like that, all in your business back then, to an extent like they are today. But Stephanie Mills came out from wherever she was at and said, "Nope, you are not going to sit here and disrespect this man in death." And let me scroll down so I can find the quote because she went in. When I first heard that, what she said, I had to rewind that part a couple of times just to make sure it clicked each and every time she said it. But here's what she said. And she added him too. She made sure she mentioned him. She said, "At Sam Smith World," this is on Twitter, "don't come for Michael Jackson when you wish you had sold as many records and you wish you were the king of pop like he was," the 61-year-old said. "I'm so tired of you people studying our music and studying our artists and claiming that you don't like our music. Go sit your one-hit wonder ass down and learn how to finish a tour. When you can sell as many records as the king of pop, Michael Jackson, then maybe you can say something. So I say to you, Mr. Smith, have several seats and come for me if you want to." Well, I think this concludes our broadcast day. I'm just playing. But Stephanie Mills is not here for people like Sam Smith and other white artists who come into a genre that we, as black artists paved the way for them to just leapfrog their way into, and literally leapfrog their way into, because they leaped over a lot of our artists and put themselves into the spotlight, and a lot of them get the credit. It's one thing when you say you don't like a certain artist and whatever, that's fine. But don't sit there and say you don't like someone as legendary as Michael Jackson, and he is the king of your genre, king of pop music for me. Like, I think a lot of artists, if you ask them who was their inspiration, a lot of them will say Michael Jackson. Especially a lot of black artists. And see, this is what Stephanie is saying, and I'm so glad she said it. A lot of these white artists will come and do the music because it sounds good, and a lot of them can feel that they can build a certain base off of it. And then when they're ready, when they're good and done with it, then they just toss it to the side, as well as the fans, to create a whole new go to a genre that they wanted to get into. So it's like a lot of them use R&B or some of them hip hop in order to get to where they're really trying to get, instead of having a genuine love for the actual art form. Let's not forget, black people created every form of genre of music. So every time you listen to a rock song or a country song, two genres of music that is heavily white dominated, note that it was black people that kicked that off, but they don't get the credit. And it's a big form of disrespect for you to disrespect the king like you did by saying you don't like him, but you like this song. And he didn't even go into detail as to why he didn't like him. He just said that he didn't like his music. Huh? Like, but like I said, it's the ultimate form of disrespect. But I'm so glad Stephanie Mills came out and defended her, and that's actually another reason why I made this video is because we need a lot of people to defend our legends who are deceased, especially who can't speak for themselves. Because I'll be damned if someone speaks ill of Stevie Wonder. Don't let me find out that you say you don't like Stevie Wonder's music, but you like A Ribbon in the Sky. No, if you don't like his music, then you don't like any of it. You just don't like him. It's your own opinion. We'll have people who have formed their own opinions. Like myself and yours, who really don't like. We don't have a leg up in this industry. Or we don't even have a leg in the industry, to be honest. That's one thing. But when you are a person, Sam Smith, who literally has a lot of black fans because you were singing R&B music and you got a goddamn BET award. Yes, BET gave this asshole a BET award a couple years ago. And his ass didn't even have the decency to show up to get it. I think he won for Best New Artist or something like that. That's like when he first came out. And I remember I worked one of his concerts at my job. He was literally like one of the only white guys on the stage. His entire backup singers, all of them were I think they were all black except for one. His band was mostly black. He was like the only lily white person on the stage. So don't you sit up there and say, oh, I don't like Michael Jackson music, but I do like this song. No, you don't. And he didn't even go into detail as to why he didn't like Michael Jackson's music. Michael Jackson's music has transcended decades. It's unborn children who know who Michael Jackson is. Michael Jackson is like one of those universal artists where no matter where you go in the world, when you hear his name, people go crazy. His one album, Thriller, has sold more than any album that you probably have put out in the last how many years you've been recording music. And in case y'all want to know, Michael Jackson's Thriller album, I think to date has sold over 150 million copies. And we're talking about just one album, not a course of albums over the years between all the albums he's ever put out. We're talking about just one album. And I think it's the only album to ever go, I think, 3 times diamond. Or is it 3 times platinum? No, it's one of those two. And it's still selling. That man has a resume that is about as long as Two Notch Road. For those of you who live in South Carolina and the Columbia area, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, shout out to Stephanie Mills for coming to the defense of her friend, even in death, because that needs to happen. Because imagine if he said this and no one said anything. It's one thing if people like myself on Twitter go in at him, but it's another thing when you have artists who were around when Michael was definitely at his prime and his peak years, and to say things like that, it's a form of disrespect. Sam Smith, you never met Michael Jackson, so you don't know the impact that he has had on many people in and outside of the industry. I know I'm sounding like a fan right now. That's because I am a fan of that man's music. But not only his music, but the stuff that he did outside of the recording studio. I wouldn't be surprised if Sam Smith was one of them people that believed them child molestation allegations. And that's probably why he said he didn't like his music. Sam Smith better tread lightly because he has a lot of black fans. And it's one thing that I know is you don't disrespect the king. That's like disrespecting your mother or your father in this instance, since we're talking about another man. Y'all let me know what you think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. The links will be down below for the PayPal and Patreon, and I'll talk to you in the next one.